Good afternoon, guys. How's everyone doing this Tuesday afternoon? Hope you all had a good weekend, a bank holiday weekend. Hope you're recovering, gone back to work and gone back to reality because, some people like having a drink, some people like relaxing. Everyone's different, but yeah, I hope you all had a good weekend. I really, really do. Welcome to my channel, guys, Motocross Mania TV. Sorry about the light. It's a little bit on the dark side because I normally do my videos inside my truck where it's nice and light. So I'll turn the light on the selfie stick for a minute and see how we go. 1 minute. Don't know if that's any better. I'm old fashioned. I don't know about these selfie sticks. I think it's better with it off in it. Anyway, I'm going to have a little chat with you about my life, where it all began. When I very first started committing armed robberies, going across the pavement, becoming a paving artist, becoming a blagger, whatever you want to call it, yeah? So I've written a few bits down for bullet points, so I'm going to be reading a few bullet points off to you. I was first fast-tracked up the criminal ladder from a very early age, 17. I was always a top bike rider and getaway driver, so my cousins from my dad's side took me under their wing as a wheelman at the age of 17 or 18. My first bit of work was going across the pavement on a Royal Mail van, picking up bags from a main sub post office. I was just 18. My cousins, I can mention their first names, John and Philip, and there's a few people on my channel what know my cousins, so know my bit of background. My cousins were very well respected amongst the top villains of their day. I was quickly introduced to the villains and they couldn't get enough of me. Aged 19, I was driving my own Triumph Stag, top of the range car. I was dripping in gold and I had the best of everything, i.e. clothes and everything else. I had the gift of the gab with my mouth and everyone in my state was aware of me. By the time I got 12 years, I was very well known in the system, inside the system and outside of the system. So, that's a few bullet points, what I was going to talk to you about. But yeah, so you could say that I was born into being a criminal. I was born into being a G, whatever you want to call it. But these days, you know, I'm not ashamed of it because it's my past that shaped me into the person what I am today. But if I could turn back the hands of time, maybe I should bring that selfie stick a bit closer and straighten me out that one there. If I could turn back the hands of time, and I certainly would, and I wouldn't be choosing that lifestyle which I chose, because I paid very, very dearly for it, you know. One day, one afternoon, when I was about 23 years of age, yeah, I had a 9mm Browning, a strap, underneath the back seat of my car, like you do, because that was just how I was back in the day. I was a dangerous person. I'm not proud of it. I'm pretty ashamed of it, but there's no getting away from it. I used to carry a tool with me. I was going across London Bridge, still trying to sort this stick out. Stiff. Well, I ain't trying to sort that out. But yeah, I was going across London Bridge like you do, driving. I was in the Triumph Stag actually, and they was doing road checks, just normal run-of-the-mill road checks. And them days, it was the producers. Remember, you used to get a producer. You used to call it a 7-day wonder when you had to produce your insurance, your MOT, and your license at the police station. And you could give like your cousin's name. They didn't have these fingerprinting things. I didn't have all the new technology what they've got today, and that's why I like to stress to people across my channel that that game what I come out of is completely and utterly finished. Them days you didn't have forensics, you didn't have DNA, you didn't have Ring doorbells, and you know you didn't have many glasses about. So you know it's completely changed. Anyway, I was going across London Bridge in a Stag, a Triumph Stag, going over to meet at some other North London, Enfield actually, and they was doing these spot checks. They pulled me over. And opened the boot up, and like an idiot, I pulled the spare wheel up and bang, there sat a 9mm Browning. Didn't get no British Rail, didn't get no bail, went straight on remand, and I was on remand for about 6 months. I got fast tracked there too, and I got 5 years. That was probably, I don't know, about my 3rd or 4th prison sentence, because by the time this did what I'm talking to you about, I'd done DCs, I'd done ball stalls, I come right way through the system, young offenders, all the way through the system, you know, and I'm still very well known in the system now, because I've got a few pals what are in there and they still talk about my name today. But yeah, I like people talking about my name today in a good way on the outside, you know, people letting me know that I'm inspiring them, I'm encouraging them to change their life. You know, you could say put down your knife and change your life or something like that. But, you know, everywhere I go, or not everywhere, but some places where I go, I get quite a lot of recognition. People thanking me for uploading to my channel and thanking me for just telling it straight how it is, you know, because a lot of these YouTube creators, they like to glamorize crime. They like to make out something which they're not, and which they wasn't, you know. I don't know whether it's for clickbaits, whether it's for money, but, you know, I like to go to work nowadays, which I've always done. When I wasn't in prison, I've always been a grafter. You know, I've always been in the building game. I've always done a bit of roofing. I've always liked getting my hands dirty. You know, I like the manual labour. I like the feeling of going home at the end of the day, you know, and at the end of the week getting a nice few quid. Not crap what you can get on YouTube. So that's why, you know, switching off that subject, that's why I don't like getting involved in other people's beefs, especially on YouTube, because it's broken away from reality. You get all these keyboard warriors slating each other off, and it's just not real. It really isn't real. And I'm as real as it can get, you know. There's no more realer than what you can get from me. And yeah, most of my subscribers, they know, you know, like I'm a genuine article. I was the real deal. I don't like blowing my own trumpet. I don't like boasting or anything like that. But I just like telling it how it was, you know. I spent 3 decades in jail. Now, if I could get them hands, if I could have turned back them hands of time and started my life from scratch, I'll tell you something now. I've never, ever, ever have been the person what I was years ago. Yeah, I've always had a very big family network around me. As I say, I've got a massive family, and all of my family have always been by my side to pick the pieces up. They've always helped me out. They've always been there for me. So, you know, some people go to jail, like inmates go to jail. They don't get no visits. They don't get no letters. They don't get no private spends. They don't get nothing. They just live in jail, wait for their wages from in jail, which is about £3.50 a week, you know, and do other errands for other people. That's not how I done my bird, you know, and that is what made me want to get out of jail, because I knew I had such a big family network support outside. I do feel sorry, or I did feel sorry for them inmates that didn't get visits, that didn't get nothing, you know. They was the ones running about like blue-ass chickens. I didn't need to do that. I really, really didn't. But yeah, that is when I very first went into the game. As I said, when I was a young kid, I was, you know, stealing bikes, big bikes. It was always big bikes. Selling my bikes on, you know, and as I said, a few of my cousins were blaggers. They were going across the pavement, and they quickly fast-tracked me to be on the wheel for them. And then, you know, in the end, after not a very long time at all, probably around 2 years maximum, you know, I said to myself, what the fuck am I doing working for other people when I can go out and do my own thing? Because I am what they needed, you know. And that's why I was such a sought after person, because that everyone knew through Southwest London that I was staunch. I was a good man on the wheel, you know. I was, if it come on top, they knew that I wouldn't grass them up. I wasn't that way inclined whatsoever, guys. But yeah, I don't like boasting about it, but I know that you like hearing about these prison stories. So that's the only reason why I'm bringing this to the table today, guys. Done a video yesterday about Swaleside, and read a few of the comments on it, and all the positive feedback which I get. There was one guy that was training up to be a prison officer on my channel, one of my subscribers, and he was going to start off at Swaleside, And after I'd done a video about Swaleside, he quickly changed his mind, and I'm so glad that he did, because Swaleside is the type of jail, you've got long-termies in there, you've got people who are never going to get out again, you know, or by the time they do get out, they can spin it round and get a lot of remission back. So they've got nothing whatsoever to lose, you know, and it only takes one officer or one screw, one kangaroo, whatever you want to call them. It only takes one of them to upset one of the inmates, and that is it. I mean, look what happened. Look what happened the other day. I think it was up in Franklin, when the screws got done with the hot fat. Now this is what I was stressing to one of my followers. You know, I said to him, if you've got a family outside, you know, and you've got a lot of love around you, and you want to go home to your family every day, then becoming a screw at Swaleside, you need to really think about it, because you might go in there and you might just have a little fallout with one of the inmates. He might be having a bad few days, and he won't think twice of really severely disfiguring you. It's really disfiguring your face and hurting you, and then you've got to go home to your wife. That's if you make it home, you know. That's the type of jail Swaleside was. And also the type of jail it was, you know, if an inmate fell out of a screw, there wasn't stupid inmates. They'd get a pillowcase, throw it over the back of the screw's head, plunge him up, throw him on the floor and walk away. And that screw don't know any better. I don't know about nowadays, because you got CCTV, some of them wear body cam and things like that. But that is how it was. It was a dangerous jail. The first time I went there was when I got that 5 years for the firearm, going across London Bridge. My dates are a little bit mixed up. My years are a little bit mixed up, because I've got PTSD and I've done so much bird that I can't really put dates to it or years to it. But I know, you know, when I got it and what I got the bird for. So yeah, I was sent in Swaleside probably in the early 90s, and it was literally a war zone. I mean a war zone. The drugs in there was on another Richter scale, and as soon as you bring drugs into any prison, that's when it makes that prison a very dangerous place. That's why I hate Class A drug dealers, because all they care about is their pocket. They don't give a fuck about what they're doing to people, you know, and what they're doing to people's families. All they care about is their pocket. And at the end of the day, you know, you don't see many drug dealers that have retired with big money and put their money into businesses, properties, and spun their life around, you know. It always comes crashing down to an end. It really does. So you might get away with it for the first few years, thinking, oh yeah, this is all well and good. The money's coming in thick and fast, but eventually you will get your collar felt. So it just really isn't worth it. And to be honest with you, going to work for a living is so much more, you know, better. I appreciate the simple things in life now. I'm so grateful in the simple things in life now, and that's because of the lifestyle which I led. You know, at one stage when I was in the thick and through the thick of it, probably at the height of my criminal background, you know, I could never ever see any light at the end of the tunnel. I never thought I'd be making it out. I really didn't. That was my mindset, you know. So my mindset was locked in jail, you know, and I certainly wouldn't have let anyone take a piss out of me. And if they did, then, you know, they'd have got served up. I would have served them up. End of. But yeah, I see some horrific fights in Swaleside. The bell was going off at least 3 or 4 times a day, you know. I can tell you another quick story. There was 2 guys, you know. The bad blood had come from outside, so there was no way they were sorting it out. And what the screws done is they put them both on the same wing. Yeah, one of them was on the wing already, and the other one landed at reception, and he went onto the same wing as the other one. So you could say the screws might have set it up, but what they would say is no, they got put onto the wing because that was a normal location wing. And there wasn't nothing written down on files or on the paperwork about these 2 inmates shouldn't be locking up. They shouldn't be meeting, you know, because they didn't think they'd meet each other. Well, they did meet each other, yeah. and it quickly got all round the wing. You know, you could feel the atmosphere, you could feel the bad vibes. It quickly got about that these two was going to have a really, really bad war with each other. So a few of us got asked if we could go onto the door and see fair play, and I was one of them. So yeah, they quit. Two of them went into a cell. I was unaware that they was both tooled up. I thought I was going in there to use their hands, because if I was aware that they was tooled up, you know, I would not have definitely been a fair play man. Not a fair play man, but I wouldn't have stood on the door. And the reason why we stood on the doors was so that no one else, no other inmates could get involved in it. The screws couldn't get in there, and if they did get in there, you know, I'd have swung the door up and said, right, it's on top, it's on top, it's on top. Anyway, after it felt like an eternity, but it was probably a few minutes, I thought there was a lot of like fighting. There was a lot of all the chairs, that then the cell furniture was getting thrown everywhere. You know, I could hear the punching, I could hear the bones. And I thought I'd quickly go in there, because I thought that they must have had enough. When I went in there, it was absolutely like a slaughterhouse. You've never seen so much blood in all your life. It was all up the walls. It was all over the furniture. And a few of us had to go in there and split them up, you know. One of them got horrifically stabbed up, really stabbed up, to an inch of losing his life. And yeah, the panic button got hit and he got flown out to hospital, got stitched up. He didn't come back into that jail. But on another occasion, you know, there was two brothers in there, both drug dealers, and there was another bit of bad blood. I've actually put that story in my book, which is doing well. It's on Amazon. It's called the South London Bolster Boys Towers. But yeah, one of them went into the other inmate's cell. He was in bed, one of them, and the other one had a table leg with like a 10-inch nail hanging out of it. And while the geezer was in bed, he's crashed him over the head with it. While the geezer had a blanket over his head, he's crashed him over the head with it, come out, pulled his door over, and then they was doing roll checks, looking through the cells, the flaps, to check everyone was in the cell. And, you know, there was blood seeking through the mattress. So the screw had quickly opened the door up. And by the time they'd got there, the geezer was gone. You know, he'd probably been gone for about 10 minutes. But yeah, the crime in there, the attacks in there, you know, because as I said, there was workshops in there. There was carpentry workshops. There was metal workshops. And shanks were getting brought back in there. It was a war zone. It really was a war zone. So the reason why I'm doing this video is to let a few people know, or to let anyone know, you know, if they think they're going to go into committing crime and come out a winner or hit the jackpot or things like that, you know, because if you end up going into that jail, you might not come out of there alive, or you might come out of there disfigured for the rest of your life. So you need to think about that. You really do. Because nowadays, jails ain't the same. They're even worse. They're full of spice. And, you know, when I done my bird, there was no such drug in there. It was brown, it was white, and it was a bit of wacky-backy. But nowadays, there's spice in there. And that has made it 10 times worse, because the screws don't know what they're looking for. The dogs can't get it on a visit. They can't sniff it. They're not trained up to sniff it. It's cheap. It's light. It's easy to get in. You know, it's a completely and utterly different place, jails of today. And I'm so glad that I'm finished up. I've hung my gloves up and I've reformed myself. I've turned my life around, you know, and I'm now making all my family proud. And they cannot get enough of me, and I can't get enough of them. I hope you enjoy my content, guys. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks to all those that's been there from day one of my journey. I'll be back at you again soon. Peace.